I was humbled, moved on. I didn't win that race, but I learned something very important. What I learned was that before the public wants to elect you into office, they want to see you in action. And boy, have I been in action. Started out, I got a call from the town moderator, and I served on the Framingham Finance Committee. Now, if anyone's here served on a finance committee, you know what that involves. It's a lot of work, but it's a great experience to really learn municipal finances from the ground on up, to really understand all the forces that are impacting towns and our property taxes. It was a great experience. But the experience that drove me to be here tonight, to stand before you as a candidate for state auditor, was the experience I had serving on the Massachusetts Turnpike Authority Board. And that was an experience. Governor Romney appointed me to that board in 2005. And I got an opportunity to see Beacon Hill up close and personal. And I have to tell you, I didn't like what I saw. I saw government acting in its own interest, not in our interest, time and time again. Just as an example, a couple of examples. We would get, early on, we get board packages that were like this thick, the night before board meetings. We'd be voting on millions of dollars worth of contracts, public policy decisions. It was incredible. Because why do you think they just wanted to rubber stamp it? But you know, I'm a CPA. I was trained at Ernst & Young, one of the finest accounting firms in the world. I'm not about to rubber stamp anything. I'm going to read what I'm getting before to do my due diligence before a vote. And one night when I was up there, it was late at night, I'm reading through it, and I can't believe what I see. They want to start to charge for transponders, for the tags that are on your windshield to go through the fast lane. And before they were free, the replacement transponders, now they want to start charging $26 for these things. I'm thinking, well, first of all, the Turnpike's already collecting toll money, why do we want to nickel and dime people? But that argument wasn't going anywhere. But I saw deeper into the bowels of this vote, into the appendix, was that in the little asterisk, in the fine print, it said that this new policy of charging for transponders will apply to everyone except people who participate in the Boston Resident Discount Program. So who participates in the Boston Resident Discount Program? The people who live in South Boston, the people who live in East Boston, the people who live in the North End. So who lived in those neighborhoods at that time? Senate President Bob Travellini lived in East Boston. Indicted Speaker Sal DeMacy lived in the North End. And it was like, wait a minute, how could this possibly be fair? How could all of us be subsidizing that constituency? And fortunately, I raised my hand in the vote when it came down to it, and another member at the time, Jordan Levy, said, Mary's right here, we can't be doing this. And I was able to get that reversed. But it showed me, you know, the other board member, no one else was raising that point. So it showed me how important it is to pay attention and make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, because they'll try to slide things by. You know, they don't want us to know everything that's going on. It's very important. They don't want another experience. You know, you might have heard back in 2004, the Turnpike Authority also oversees the Big Dig, or oversaw the Big Dig. In the Big Dig, there was a big gusher leak in the I-93 tunnel. There was a slurry wall that basically collapsed because of faulty construction. And the Globe was always doing follow-up pieces on it. I knew that we would be doing, voting on millions of dollars worth of repair work for these tunnels over a period of years. So it's repair work, but they're never going to be fixed. I mean, it's an ongoing problem. But before I voted on these millions of dollars worth of contracts, I wanted to know what was going on. So I said, I want a tour of the tunnels. I want to see what's happening. And they said they hemmed and hawed and went back and forth a few times. And finally it came down to, all right, you can go at 1 o'clock in the morning. We'll show you the tunnel. That made sense because they wanted it quiet. But it was 1 o'clock in the morning. Driving to Boston, assistant Big Dig project manager greets me, gives me my yellow safety vest, my hard hat, and we get into his truck and we go into the tunnels. And we get out and we start walking. And we're walking along and all of a sudden he stops. Does this. And there's a huge ladder going straight up into the tunnel plenum. They had removed the ceiling panels and you could see the big darkness of the tunnel plenum. And I'm looking at this ladder, and I know he wants me to go up it. I'm thinking I have to make this acrobatic kind of leap to get from the ladder to the floor of the plenum. And, you know, I climbed a lot of trees as a kid, and still, if it's a low enough hanging branch, I'm known to go up, you know? But I'm looking at this thing, I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And he's looking at me, and I looked at him, I said, there's no way I'm not going up that thing. So I just said, let's go. And I did it. I got up there and did it, and saw what was going on, got a sense of, I'm not an engineer, as I said, I'm a CPA, but at least I had a sense of what I would be voting on, or what the repair work involved. And it was a great experience. I saw what was happening, learned a lot, felt like I did my due diligence for the public before I made the votes. But it wasn't until the next board meeting when the project manager, the big director, was giving his report. And he was talking about what happened during the month. And he said, well, we had Mary in the tunnels, and then he said, we also had Attorney General Tom Riley in the tunnels. I'm looking at him and thinking, when he said Tom Riley, he kind of like had a little smile on his face. And he looked right at me when he said it. And board meetings aren't just what you read or what's said. A lot of it is body language. I said, wait a minute. I stop. Wait a minute. I said, did Tom Riley go up that ladder? And then there was silence. And then there was a chuckle and another chuckle. And they said, no, he went in through another building, up around to it. So I thought, oh, and then they all started to laugh. And I thought, I know what's going on here. But, I learned a very important lesson. What I learned was that they were going to put obstacles in front of me to keep me from doing my job for you. What they learned was no matter what the obstacle was, I was going to do my job for you. And that's what I did. Yes, I'm doing Now, many of you might have heard me. I was on Howie Carr or Michael Graham, WBZ Radio. I was very transparent. I picked up the phone when other people would not, for the board of directors. I was on, even WBUR would call me all the time, trying to find out what was going on. I would play it straight. I would tell them this is what's happening. Because it's our government. It's not an elite group of people's government. It's ours. And the people have every right to know what's happening. And I was very vocal on that board. I even started a blog on the Boston Herald website called Toll Talk. I'm sure that didn't earn me a lot of favors in the Patrick administration, but I felt like I did my job for you. I think it's really important to do that. I mean, it's all about transparency. We have to work with government. We have to understand what's happening. Now, you might have heard that there was a toll hike vote, and I voted against a toll hike. And that caused the Secretary of Transportation we had a little kerfuffle during that meeting. And the Boston Globe decided that they wanted to figure out who this Mary Connaughton was. So they had a reporter come out, and they were going to do a front page profile piece on me. And they did. And in it they wrote that I, Mary Connaughton, was the thorniest thorn in Governor Patrick's side. Yeah.